Welcome to the Mighty Dragon. Joining me today is actor Christian Svensson. We know Christian from 24, career opportunities in Murder Mayhem, Torchwood, and most recently FBI International. We talk about his career journey from stage to film, his favourite types of characters he likes to portray, research behind those characters, and the benefits of being a multilingual actor. Welcome to the Mighty Dragon, Mr. Svensson.
Thank you, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very well. It's lovely and sunny there in Sweden, like it is in the UK, which is a shock to all of us.
You know, and then when we all go on holiday, the rain comes back.
Tell me about it. Yeah. It works like that in Sweden as well, right?
Yeah. No, I remember those days in England.
Ah, right. Yes, we were just talking about your English heritage.
Yes.
Would you like to just quickly expand on that for the listeners?
Well, my mom is English. My dad is Swedish. I spent, I would say, my first 8 years in Sweden. And then I moved to England when I was like 9.
Yeah.
And then I was there till I was 16. So I actually grew up in, where did we were in, first we were in Pimlico, then we were in Fulham.
Yeah.
Back when Fulham wasn't so trendy.
Yeah, it's trendy now, isn't it? Super trendy.
Yeah. And then we moved, then my parents actually moved to Paris. And I stayed in England and I went to a school out in Surrey called Reeds in Cobham. And that's, And then after that I went to live in the US.
Right.
Where I stayed for like 30 years almost.
So you have quite an unusual accent just listening to you. You can kind of tell you're from Scandinavia. You've got an American twang and you can hear some English in there as well.
It's very mixed up. The thing is, I when I speak to my mom and my sister and all these people over there, I become sort of pseudo English.
Yes.
And then when I'm in the States, I become American.
Right.
And then you add Swedish on top of that.
Yes.
It just becomes this hybrid.
Yeah, that's great. I've got a few questions for you about your acting career. You're an actor with such a wide-ranging set of work, from TV, voice, theatre, video, film. How did it all start for you?
I think my first foray was we did a school play at Reeds, and it was called Zigga Zagga, and I played the news agent, and I just remember getting people laughing, and I think I was hooked. That's where it started. And then flash forward to living in Los Angeles. I had an actress friend who was urging me to go to stuff, and she told me about a cattle call for the movie La Bamba. Do you remember this movie?
Right, yes. I love that film.
Yeah. So I went to this cattle call and I got picked out to try out for the role of Richie Valens, of all things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was I had no experience at all, but I went down the way. I don't know how far I actually got, but I did have a few meetings for this role. And then I think I went in a few other little auditions here and there, just on my own. When I was 19, I heard about this theater program at Los Angeles City College, and it's called the Los Angeles City College Theater Academy, which is a theater program. It's like, it didn't cost a lot of money, but it was kind of a semi-rigorous selection process to get in, and I think it's based on, the same program that they have at Juilliard and all of these, more well-renowned places, but we did all of the stuff that they do in those establishments. We it's voice and movement and, fencing and all of that kind of stuff. And I did that for 3 years. And then, you did some school productions as well while you were there. Right out of there, I joined a classical, it was a company called the Company of Angels. It was a really cool little theater in the area that I lived in, which is called Silver Lake. And they did classical American theater.
Yeah.
There, and I did a bunch of stuff there. We did we did 12 Angry Men. We did When You Coming Back, Red Rider, Requiem for Heavyweight, a bunch of Clifford Odette stuff. So that was really cool, and I was really into like Marlon Brando back then. I thought I was Marlon Brando, would try to be Marlon Brando.
That's not a bad thing, though, is it?
Yeah. Well,
you're such an amazing actor.
Yeah, he was, but I don't know if I was, But that's who that was my idol back then. Right. So it kind of fit in with the whole thing, But it was a really cool rep. It was like a rep company, and it was run by this guy Paul Brennan and his wife Peggy, and they were amazing, and it was like a big family. And I was there for about 4 or 5 years, and while I was there, I also started doing I got an agent, and I started doing some TV. I think my first kind of substantial gig was on General Hospital.
Yeah.
I played a character on there, and I was on there for, I think, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 months or something.
Right.
And and then I remember my dad actually gave me, this is back in the day when you had VHS, so he came over with a bunch of VHS tapes of Michael Caine on film acting, which is, I recommend that to everyone. I really do. It's if anyone ever asks me, like, where should I start? If I want to go into TV, I always, or film, I tell them always, go look at those videos.
Yeah.
Because they're amazing.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to touch on your TV credits. They include 24 career opportunities in Murder and Mayhem, Torchwood here in the UK, and most recently FBI International. Do you have a preference to working in TV?
I don't really have a preference, to be honest, but TV is what's mostly available these days,
Right.
They do a lot of theater here in Stockholm, and I enjoy theater, but I have a family, and I, the money's better, and also theater, it's a big commitment, and you're on stage. Sometimes they do these long plays. I always feel like less is more, you know, and I've actually been to a few shows here, and you come in and then they tell you, it's a 3-hour show, and we don't have a break. I start feeling sorry for the actors,
Yeah.
Or I went to one performance where it was like a 2-hour show, and there was no break, and you had to stand.
Oh no.
Yeah. So anyway, they're not all like that, of course, but I find that TV is it's what's done now. There's not so much film. People watch stuff on their phones and on their computers. You know what I mean? So and sadly, people don't go to the movies as much. So I think it's because it's what's available. You know?
I think shorter form content is more popular now, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of the type of characters that you portray, what is it about a character that intrigues you, that you think, I must portray that character?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't really approach it that way. What happens is, I kind of go about my life, and I thought I saw a big rat, but it's a cat. They do have a lot of rats here in Stockholm. It's a clean city, but there's a lot of rats.
Oh God, that would be my worst nightmare.
Oh my God, I can tell you some stories. I'll do a quick one. My wife, she, her family lives on the like the equivalent of Belgravia here in Stockholm, and that's where they have the most rats. And she was as this one particular like main thoroughfare, this big street, and she was walking along, and it was in the middle of the day, and she looks across the street and she sees a really big rat, walking on the sidewalk. It was about to cross the street. A car came. It went back to the sidewalk and waited and then crossed the street.
Intelligent rats.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, this is quite disturbing, isn't it?
It is, extremely. Anyway, sorry. What was the question? About
how, what type of characters you like to portray, but you were saying you don't approach it like that.
Well, when something gets presented, I have really good reps, I have a great manager, I have great agents. And then also, because I've been around for so long, I have a lot of friends who are directing or people who are writing stuff. I'm writing stuff too. So people, sometimes somebody will ask you, or let's say you audition for something and you get the role, and then you're presented with a choice of, do I want to do this, or do I not want to do it? And usually you kind of just know, you know what I mean? I'm like Michael Caine. I always say yes. You know what I mean? Like I feel, unless it's something really terrible, really bad, I usually try to see if there's anything that I can do, if I can find some kind of hook.
Yeah.
And usually I can. And it just, to me, it's like, and then I guess also, unless it's something that I've just done, if it's the same kind of thing, then I might say no. But normally, I just kind of go with my gut, you know what I mean? And then as they get presented, I kind of make that choice then,
Yes. Okay. I was going to ask too, with the characters that you play, do you do much research behind that character first, or do you not really just go in and just do it fresh?
No, I will usually try to find. Some characters come easier than others. Some things, just kind of speak to whatever attributes you might have, But a couple of years ago, I did a show over here with a friend of mine, and a guy dropped out, and they needed a character to play. He was like a cop slash assassin slash. It was kind of a complex character.
Yeah.
And the guy dropped out because he was afraid of flying, and the show was supposed to be partly shot in the US. And so I said, yeah, sure. And my friend who's written the show is really good, so I knew it was good. And he said, well, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue, this character, And he had a couple of really cool scenes with dialogue, but most of them were without dialogue. And so I was like, well, what can I do with it? You know what I mean? And then I kind of did a little research on the script and like what relationship he had with the other characters. And then I just, for some reason, I just kind of came up with this OCD thing, I started looking into people with OCD.
Yeah.
And then, you just kind of go down the rabbit hole and you try to like find stuff. Like I started looking on YouTube, and then I kind of found this character had a really funny haircut. You know what I mean? It was a real person, and so I did my hair a certain way, and then I wore these glasses, and I was always, cleaning my hands and closing doors twice, and it just kind of grew. And one thing that is really important for me too is shoes.
Shoes.
Yeah. I'm weird like that, man. So I just kind of, I always try to, what kind of shoes would this person wear? You know what I mean? There's really no rhyme or reason to any of it, but there is definitely research.
Yes. Before your characters. Is there a genre that you haven't tried as yet that you'd like to, or have you done everything?
No, I mean, I've done comedy on stage, but I haven't done any. I've done a couple of like walk-ons, little cameos on comedy shows, but I haven't really done a lot of comedy. I'd like to do comedy.
Yes, more comedy.
I'd like to try.
I was going to say too, you speak English, Swedish, French, and Spanish. Does being multilingual have a great benefit for you as an actor?
Well, first off, I have to be completely honest. When I say I speak French and Spanish, my Spanish is pretty much what they call kitchen Spanish. So I have a good understanding and I can communicate. Yes. And the same with French. I was actually at a point where I was almost fluent in French, but I wouldn't say that I'm completely fluent in either one of those languages. But but it helps because, like, for example, this one show that I just did that is this career opportunities, Murder Mayhem. The character description was it was also like, well, he's it would be an advantage if the client speaks different languages. So what I did was when I did my slate and my presentation of who I was, I kind of switched into different languages. Yeah. Very cool. I think I didn't really get a chance to do any of those languages, but I think just the fact that they knew that I could help me get the role. And then sometimes, you do certain parts, like the thing that I did in Hungary a couple of weeks ago. I played a Russian, I don't speak Russian, but I can play it off. And I had a couple of scenes. So I guess hopefully it lends some authenticity to the character,
It must sound very impressive to switch in between all of those languages on a reel. That must sound very impressive to someone. Well, being a typical English person who only speaks English, I find that very impressive.
Yeah, well, us actors, we're all about smoke and mirrors,
Yeah. You've studied Brazilian Ju-Jitsu and boxing. Yes. Has your martial arts training impacted your focus in your acting and just in general life?
Well, first I have to be honest again. I am decent at jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu and judo is something that I've practiced for a long time. My boxing is very elementary. It's very basic. We put that on the CV just in case a boxing role comes up. Yeah. And then you hope, when you go in there, you'll get some coaching to make it look good, So my boxing is definitely not a forte, Yes. But the jiu-jitsu, what it does is, I guess, martial arts, it helps you focus, definitely. It also, for me, it helps me confront my fears. I train with a group of guys now who are much better than I am, so it also keeps you humble, Yeah. And you can't really think about anything else but survival and trying to, hopefully every once in a while, you'll get a nice move in, and you'll, it feels great. But it's, I think sometimes too, when you go on these big sets, especially on the first day, there's a lot of expectation, there's a lot of moving parts. You walk in and, you have this, your first day, your first big scene, and it's like your adrenaline's pumping. And sometimes it feels like life and death. Your heart's pounding, Yeah. And it's a little bit like being on the mat and facing, we have a guy that we train with named Sasha. We call him Hulkazino because he's huge and he's really good. Yeah. It's kind of like facing him, you know what I mean? But if I know that I can do that and survive, then, I can survive that, you know what I mean? Yes. So, and it keeps you in decent shape too,
Absolutely. As a Swedish actor, what are the strengths of the Swedish film industry?
There's a really good pool of actors here. They have most actors are classically trained, which doesn't always mean that they're great actors, but there's a good tradition. There's a great tradition of theater and film. Bergman and
Yes.
And then more recently, we have Alfredsson, the guys who directed the Millennium films. So, there's high quality, definitely. And there's you get funding from the government too. People can get grants and stuff like that. So if you have a good idea and you present it, you can get some funding to develop projects. I don't know how it is in the UK, but I know in the States that doesn't really happen.
Yes, it's quite difficult. And your Instagram account, I've been having a little snoop. You've got a very busy work life, very busy family life. How do you manage it all?
I have a very understanding and very supportive wife.
I thought you were going to say that.
There you have it. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Yeah, she has my back. I wouldn't have been able to do any of this stuff. It wasn't for Scylla. She's amazing. And, and the girls too, I mean, they keep me grounded.
What have you got coming up?
I have, what's airing is this Career Opportunities in Murder and Mayhem, which will be on Hulu sometime in the fall. And I'm very proud of this work. I would say it's the most interesting television role I have had up till now. So I have, what else do I have? I just did a kids show, a Swedish kids show. I was in Greece last week.
Yes.
The week before that was in Hungary, but last week I was in, and it's a television show called Murder Mayhem, and it's with two of the biggest comedians actually in Sweden.
Right.
One who's named Robert Gustafsson, and the other one is called Björn Gustafsson. No relation, but they're two of the greatest. That is coming, and then there is a project that I will be doing. Probably we're negotiating right now in October. There's a television show, but I'm sworn to secrecy on that.
Right.
And then
okay.
I have a writing partner. We wrote a pilot and a few episodes of a show that is kind of I guess this kind of a comedy, a dramedy.
Yes.
Maybe. And it's about Nordic. The pitch is Nordic noir Nordic mythology meets X-Files.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. So we actually have it now, and we're taking meetings and stuff. So hopefully that will become something. Yeah.
Oh, all the best of luck with that. That sounds absolutely terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep us posted on that.
For sure.
Put that on the blog. Thank you so much for joining me on the Mighty Dragon. All the best with all of your projects, and have a lovely day. Enjoy the rat sightings in Sweden. Get some cats.
Shoo.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you so much.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.